Hello everyone, this is Tribecast episode 33 and my name is Marina. This week I again have female voices only in this podcast episode, so please welcome Fernanda Pino and Anastasia Kozina telling about their careers, sustainability, Stream Startup Festival and lots of other interesting stuff. Let's get started. This is Tribecast episode 33, which is a nice round number, and this means that we continue having nice guests and interesting speakers. And my first guest of this week is Fernanda. I think it's one of the most active people which I meet pretty much every day, and it seems to me that she's in every ongoing project and every event. She's always there, always doing something, always all smiles. But let's probably give Fernanda the voice as she is. Hello Fernanda, and first things first, tell our listeners a few things about yourself.
Hello, my name is Fernanda Pino. I have a background in business IT and entrepreneurship, and at the moment I focused on human technology interaction.
When you are not sitting in my cozy studio in P47, do you work? Do you study?
So at the moment, I have a couple of things going on. So first, my thesis, which is probably going to be based on UX design and accelerators. And at the same time, I'm the CDO for GroupPay, also collaborating as a UX designer with a different startup called Medified. I'm volunteering for Stream as a team lead. I think that's it.
Okay. And let me remind our listeners that interview with the Medified guys can be heard in the pilot episodes of Tribecast, which were dedicated to the Red Brick Accelerator. And also, Red Brick Accelerator is having a second batch this year, and the application is still open. So if you're an early stage startup willing to learn how to win this market, then we probably would recommend you to join the accelerator. By the way, you mentioned that your thesis will be about acceleration. Do you take any of the mentoring programs that we have in Tribe as your material?
I've been talking with Business Tampere to get some advice from them, also Nordic Startup School and Red Brick Accelerator. I also have a mentor from my own university.
It's a bit of a personal question, but how did you end up being part of a startup community?
I think it has just always been there. I remember being 6 and wanting to take dogs for a walk or selling stuff in my front yard. When I was 10, I already had like a small jewelry business. My grandma has a blueberry farm. Back then it used to be a raspberry farm. So I would go and talk with her workers to get them to work for me. And then I would sell the raspberries back then were expensive. And I was also into video games. So when I was in 8th grade, I opened my own server and sold memberships to my friends. I also gave them houses for free, but so I don't know. It's always been there. It's kind of my way of being.
And I know that you were, at least there was an attempt from your side to start a business of your own in Finland.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit more about it?
Yeah, definitely. It was a project for my thesis and part of my internship. And I think back then I didn't have the experience I have now, but I learned a lot, especially from the technical perspective on building websites, web stores, and also business partnerships in order to generate sales, since I didn't have a marketing person. And that worked until I realized that I was just selling more stuff, and I don't want to be part of the people contributing to the problem of like mass consumption. And my startup was just like pillowcases, and they were not sustainable. They were not made of recycled materials, and at the end I didn't want to be part of the problem, which is why I shut it down.
So you have an experience of doing a business and you have an experience of working in a startup. Mm-hmm. What is your preference in the end? Do you think it's safer for an international who comes to Finland as a student, do you think it's safer to start your own business, or do you think it's a better option to jump into already existing but small company?
It really depends. It's down to the team. If the team is not 100% in, then do your own thing, go on your own. Probably if you want to just make money, it's easier to start a business because you can start selling quicker. If you're willing to like play the long game and you have a like team that you trust and you have ambitious goals and you're all willing to commit for at least, I don't know, a year, or like most of your free time without generating any income, then definitely play the long game and go for a startup and go big. Of course, you can start generating income right away, but I feel like that's going to take a lot of your time. I suggest you do it when you still have like an income, because if you're thinking all the time like, oh, this month I need to make this amount of money to like pay my bills, I feel like you're under a lot of pressure. If you just use your free time for it and maybe sacrifice some of your I don't know, gaming time, social time, anything, then I feel like you're in a better position to be creative, to solve problems, because you're not stressed about how are you going to pay rent.
Mm-hmm. And also, you're part of Stream Startup Festival as one of the volunteer team.
Yes.
So what is your position there? And give us some spoiler. What do we expect from Stream this year?
It's going to be big. It's going to be awesome. And
as usual,
there's going to be a lot of awesome people. At least my role there is as a team lead for the stage. Mm-hmm. So we're a small team, and the reason that I wanted to be there is because last year I volunteered. I really enjoyed it. And this year I was happy to take on a little bit more responsibility as a lead.
Okay. And what does it mean that you're a volunteer on stage? Do you bring the microphone to the speaker? Or?
Oh, no, there's a team for that. There's a technical team, because it's really important that, you know, their slides are set up, the sound is okay, the microphone is working. But we just make sure that they're there on time, that they feel comfortable, that they have their water, that they know when to go on stage, and basically just to make sure that the technical team has their slides, that they're comfortable with everything, and so on.
I would say that volunteering for startup festivals is kind of a world of its own with its own rules. If you remember, what are the other volunteer teams and what kind of other things volunteers can do during the festival?
Pretty much anything. I mean, it's sort of like volunteer organized or run events. Mm-hmm. I don't know how exactly to say it, but everyone there is a volunteer. So from building to cloakroom to being a speaker buddy to giving information to people, just about everything. Marketing, social media, camera, like recording, editing. Just pretty much anything. Whatever skill you have, I'm sure you can go there and help as while you develop it further.
And what does one get out of volunteering besides fun?
Well, so you get to attend the event, which is awesome. There's really cool startups there. There's the speakers who are like experts. There's investors. There's other people with the entrepreneurial mindset or already in the startup ecosystem. And it's just an amazing experience.
So I guess this was a good recommendation. And as far as I know, interested people can still jump in the last bandwagon and join Stream as a volunteer, as a part of the team, and have this experience and, of course, meet lots of cool people.
But do it now, because the application is closing very soon.
Right. So just listen to this episode, go to streamfestival.org and file your information there. And now I can give a spoiler that Tribecast will be doing a special episode for Stream Festival. I guess that was expected by many of our listeners, but still, now I think this is official information. And hopefully we'll also record an interview with some of the organizers, probably Alexandra or Markus, but we'll see about that. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck with all your amazing stuff you're up to. Of course, special good luck with your thesis.
Thank you. I will need that.
Yeah. Hopefully this will be one more brick in the Tampere startup ecosystem, because we'll get some academic approach about how it should be done, the acceleration and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely an under-researched area. Right,
thank you very much for the interview, and let's move to the next guest of this week.
Thank you, bye-bye.
So, we continue with Tribecast episode 33, cool round number, and I have one more guest this week. It's a nice person with an interesting career in my understanding, and also she's doing lots of good stuff for the community, for different kind of projects. So I guess you will enjoy listening to this interview and learn something new about Anastasia. But let's start the way we usually do it in Tribecast. Hello, Anastasia, and please tell our listeners a few things about yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anastasia Kozina. I go by the name Sia in Finland just because it is shorter and sweeter and people remember it a lot better. So I came to Finland, it would now be 6 years ago, to study. Back then I wanted to become a graphic designer and been also doing some illustration and video editing and such things. But never did I think I will go into digitalization back then. Today I would describe myself as a service designer who can also carry the service to the final stages. So user interface, user experience design and visuals. Naturally, this is what I do at the moment. Myself, I'd say I wanted to become designer for a very long time, since I was a teenager. First, I wanted to become a doctor, actually a surgeon, or somebody who cuts dead people. But then at some point I started doing arts, and I've been trying to sing in the band, and it drove me back into this like artistic direction. And all of a sudden I just thought, okay, design it is. And it so happens that I came from a town which is very close to Finnish border, and many of us go to Finland to study or continue their life starting from school. So I did the same, and I have no regrets about it, for sure. So today I work in Memacate. It's a startup that tries to address a very systemic issue in society, which is dementia care, and we are trying to improve dementia care through training that we provide. And for me, I'm there for 3 years now. It has been this fulfilling project where you go to sort of rest your mind and do something that gives you a lot of meaning and create something that you're proud of. Because I have to say that as a designer, you don't always get to do that. Before, actually, during my work in Memacate, I've been also working at a Finnish agency called Futurize. And there I've been working close with clients, creating new services or improving old services. And it has been, I think, this like brewery of talent there. You learn from literally everyone and everything, and it's been amazing. But myself, I've always lacked this fulfillment, I suppose, from work. And that's why eventually I started moving towards Memacate. Well, there is another reason also, but I think we can address it a little bit later.
All right. And now I have a feeling that in Memacate we have one more thing. Uniting the team members, you all have the musical talent. Probably you have your own Memacate band. Because I know that the co-founder, one of the co-founders of Memacate, Heikki Vittinen, the interview with whom our listeners can listen to in one of the previous episodes, which was actually one of the most listenable. So there is an interview somewhere before that one. And I know that Heikki also plays the guitar and the piano in his free time, if he ever has some free time. And also, I would like to remind our listeners that the interview with Antti Pitkänen, who works for Futurize currently, can be also listened to in one of the previous episodes if you would like to learn more about this company. I also know that you are involved sometimes in a few projects as a public speaker. Can you tell us a bit more about the projects you recently visited as a speaker?
Recently, I would say the most recent ones are from spring. First, it's been Global Service Jam, where I have shared my opinion about sustainability and how, as designers, we currently have a responsibility to approach it better. And another one, I've been a panelist at Female Founders Day, which was organized to highlight this female power in entrepreneurial scene, which was a very interesting event. And there I've been sharing the stage as a panelist with Naya Daya and Amazon representatives. So I love public speaking, I think, for the reason that it gives you this nice nerve-cracking feeling in the beginning. You're thinking, will I provide the value I actually try to provide? And then you come out there and you just see it on the people's faces. It works. They learn something, they're interested, and it's an amazing feeling. But I think for me also, I love to think about new design methodologies or something that design doesn't do well yet. And really, I'm not an experienced designer yet. I just observe things, I map them out in my head, and then it comes down to sharing these observations and seeing if somebody else sees it the same way.
Right, and I would say it's a bit surprising thing in a sense that usually designers are people who do something with their hands and eyes, so very hand-on approach, literally, but they're not really talkative. Maybe they feel it easier to express the world in their pictures, images, some visual elements. And you dare to also use your voice. So do you think it's a rare case? And maybe would you recommend other designers to try doing public speaking?
Well, I think public speaking is not necessarily for everyone. I've used to work with some amazing designers who they were not interested in this. They weren't even interested in mentoring or helping their colleagues. And that's not necessarily a flaw. It's just they are this type of like artistic people who just want to do like almost artistic looking interface or service or something that helps them to express themselves in some extent, I believe. So it's just seeing where you want to go. Myself, I just always felt like whatever I know it's my responsibility to share it with someone. And really it doesn't matter which format it comes in. It can be a blog post, it can be just chatting with someone casually. Public speaking is of course awesome because it also of course helps you to build this skill, and I think it's important to learn how to speak to people or how to present something in a very approachable